Alan, we're here at the first one, which is the Black Panther helmet, and this thing is just amazing. I can see why you put it under glass, because you immediately want to touch it. This thing is awesome. How did you start from finish? How did you build this thing?
Well, the last couple of years, we've been going towards 3D printing. My education was machine engineering and drafting and stuff. I had intended to go into aerospace engineering. That was, my parents worked at Hughes Aircraft. I was always interested in the, NASA and the space race and all that. And they worked on the LEM and all these different things back in the 60s. And so I thought that was going to be my career path. So I had a lot of experience drafting, won several awards in school and stuff. So when 3D printing came online, I thought, this is a natural. This is something that I understand, easy to do, and I really saw it as a wave of the future. So this last couple of years, been doing files. I actually did this file before the film, based on screen captures that we had on early publicity.
Oh, wow.
And on each of these displays, try and put, what we do, how it's done, step by step, to come out with this. If we were going to make a lot for a movie like Black Panther, you've got to have like 24 of these. You can't just have one. After 3D printing it, then a cast is made, and then you just make them with the silicone mold. But this is what I call a one-off. This is the original 3D print.
Oh, wow.
I have wire mesh in the things. We'll be bringing the entire suit in here on this exhibit, which is going to go through October. We'll be adding to the exhibit every couple wext.
So this one's 3D printed, and the silver parts, did you have to go through and paint those as well? Or?
Yes, a lot of people ask about the metallizing, and is that some type of plating? It is just paint. It's just paint.
So with the 3D printing, you can put in all sorts of filaments, plastic, metal. Did you guys use a vibranium filament for that one?
No, it's so hard to melt it.
That's true. It's hard to get a hold of that.
Yeah, and it clogs up the printer, so we did do that. A lot of advantages to 3D printing, particularly on a complex sculpture like this, where you have all the glyphs. Now, back in the day, I would have had to hand sculpt all these, and there's tricks to doing that. You make templates and actually use dental tools to make it, or you might make impressions, find some screen or a piece of jewelry or some braiding and make impressions, or actually cast pieces that you apply, and that's how we would have constructed back in the day. But now with 3D printing, you can create an effect on one side, transfer it to the other side, and you don't have to sculpt it, and it's perfect.
That's cool.
It's
very precise.
It's very precise, and you can repeat a pattern again and again and again. You can also create different textures.
Oh, yeah.
Here you have on the ears, this is a gloss black, and then we have the satin black areas over the eyes and around the back of the head here. And that's good for the lighting. If, like Darth Vader, the whole black costume would have been very difficult to shoot, but there's contrast to it. It has, part of it is black, but part of it is gray. People don't realize that when they look at the movie. It looks all black to them.
Oh, yeah.
But it has some darker grays, has different textures, and that allows you to film it without it looking like a shadow moving across the screen. And we did the same thing with the Black Panther. Now, the new movie, the costume changed significantly from Civil War. Much more simple costume, very similar to the costumes used in the DC universe for Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. It is what we refer to as a 3D print. It's not in a 3D printing machine. It's screen printed just like you would a sublimation print, but it's a silicone paint that rises, and so you can make it in a relief, and that's how cool. Those textures are made. And that's in the second filming. The first Civil War Black Panther, it had black suede gloves and separate boots. The new suit is just one unitard basically with this 3D printing. The gloves are integral part of the suit itself. There's no separate glove. So
Wow.
when he gets in it, just gets in the entire
one
thing.
piece, wonder.
Puts the helmet on, he's ready to go. It's much easier than Civil War I, where there's all these pieces you got to put on. So.
Now, speaking of putting on, is this piece a wearable piece, or
Yeah.
it is a wearable?
Yeah. This breaks apart, and you can, put it on your head, and it's got like use a bicycle helmet rubber inlay there that basically we just get online and
Nice.
stick it in there,
Pop
peel
it in
and
there.
stick, and it fits very nice. A lot of these helmet type masks, like Iron Man's a good example, they don't fit everybody.
Yeah. Nobody's got the same size head, really.
It's not just the size of the head, it's the shape of the head.
Oh.
People will go like, well, we got an actor that he's got a 24-inch circumference head or 25-inch circumference head. That's not all there is to it.
That's one piece of the formula.
That's one piece. We found that the smaller the circumference, generally the more elongated the skull is.
Oh.
And the larger the circumference, the person's skull is usually more round.
Oh.
And so you can have someone with a 25-inch head, is very round, but it's not long, and they can get into like the Iron Man, where someone with a smaller circumference, 24-inch, has a very elongated skull, they can't get into it. So those all have to be taken into consideration. And also with circumferences, people don't understand. They'll look at a circumference and they'll go like, okay, my head is 24, so I need a 24-inch helmet, like a Captain America helmet. I need No, because you try and put that thing on, it'll be like a bottle cap trying to get it off. For circumference, unlike a linear measurement, every inch is actually 4 times what it would be for a linear measurement. So it's just like someone's bicep. You got a 24-inch bicep. If you go up to 24 and a half, but that's only a quarter of an inch on all surfaces. So it's not that big a difference. It's the same with circumferences on head. The difference between a 24-inch head and a 25-inch head is only a quarter of an inch difference. But you have to calculate that, particularly a helmet like this. It has a very thin liner, and it's not made to really take off. Once you get on the actor like Iron Man, it's going to stay on there.
Yeah.
But with Captain America, you got to take it on and off. And in working for First Avenger, we made that first one out of urethane so it would stretch and go on the head, fit tight. That's figured how we did. Then when we did the next one, Winter Soldier, go like, look, we got to do this like a real helmet. And you need some back to front movement so the actor can take the head off without taking off his eyebrows too. So it's the exterior circumference on that, you need a 36-inch exterior circumference to fit a 24.5-inch interior head, because you got the leather liner in there and the strapping and everything. Every inch is actually 4 times what it would be in reverse. So those are all things you have to take into consideration when you're doing it professionally.
So a lot goes into this. I'm not just, okay, I'm going to sculpt this in a 3D program and then 3D print it, but you got to figure out what kind of head shape, who's it's going to fit, how's it's going to fit together seamlessly. I can see a seam, but it doesn't look like it. It's
right here.
Open.
It comes right off here.
Pops open right there.
Right there. On the file, I can take this and it has accesses, different axes. Like if this was a globe and you had rods coming through different directions, I can take and turn this on the screen. I can stretch it this way, I can stretch it that way, I can stretch it out. I go in and put in the y-axis or the whatever axis, and I can stretch it in that direction. What I use, if I was going to make, you were going to be the next Chad Brunswick.
Well,
the Black Panther. Of
I
course,
do have a 24-inch
You might be a
bicep,
stand-in. I would take calipers, measure your head from different angles, and then put that into the file and shape it to where it got your head. A lot of companies are going to 3D printing. You got a lot of independent people going to 3D printing. There's a lot of advantages to it. but there are not a lot of large format 3D printers.
Oh, yeah.
It's like back in the 60s and 70s, there were only 2 optical printers in the country to optically print for editing purposes film.
Oh, yeah.
So you had 2. They were both made by Hughes Aircraft, and one was in Los Angeles and one was in New York on the East Coast. So if you needed an optical printer for editing your film, you had to stand in line. Well, the same with large format 3D printers. This doesn't look really large, but we're doing the Mark 50 Iron Man suit, where you have very large pieces. Well, you need a 3D printer that's huge.
Yeah.
And they don't just print one thing. If you've got a big hopper like that, you're going to print a bunch of stuff within your piece.
Wow.
And then they separate it all out. But still, you got to stay in line. And there's sometimes like the Iron Man, we've done a Mark III that took like 6 weeks to do.
Oh, wow.
From scratch, making patterns, casting pieces. We might wait 3-4 months to get the same thing printed.
Oh, wow.
After we make the files. So I made the files for the Mark 50 I finished them up in January, middle of January, and we're still waiting to get the first pieces printed.
Oh, wow.
So there are some advantages. Those pieces are going to come out very nice, very pristine, and we don't have the expense of having to make molds for it, but we got to stand in line.
Oh, yeah. You dabble in different mediums, and this piece alone, this Black Panther piece, is just so beautiful. It's just, you look around and you can just stare at it for a long time, and that's with all of your pieces. I want to take a look at the next one. Next one, you want to do the Infinity Glove?
Yeah, let's
do that one.